Sonoma County. Good morning. Welcome to Sonoma County Alliance. What's on everyone's mind today? Could it be the 49ers?
Yeah!
Or could it be AI? There's so many good things to talk about today. Thank you for coming. It's wonderful to have you here. Good morning. Thank you for your support. We have a fantastic and exciting program for you. But first, if I could have Danny Sheehan help us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dan. All right. So in honor of the original indigenous inhabitants, I share the following land acknowledgement. As persons living in Sonoma County and with gratitude, we recognize that we are on the ancestral lands of the coastal Miwok, Pomo, and Wapu, who are the original caretakers of this area. We respectfully acknowledge the indigenous people who have been stewards and maintaining relationships on this land as knowledge keepers for millennia. So with that, I would like to introduce Scott and Chuck from Leap Solutions. They are our breakfast sponsor. So if you'd like to come up.
We have a little technical change for a minute. All right, technology worked. Good morning, I'm Scott O'Marat.
I'm Chuck McPherson.
And we're very happy once again that the world is celebrating Leap Solutions with Leap Year. This is our probably third or fourth time that we've sponsored the breakfast on Leap Year. And it's a special time for us. I know when we reached out to Ty early last year and said we want this breakfast, I want to make sure no one else could take it. But we're thrilled that 2024 is a leap year and that we want you to make the most of it for yourselves. We're honored once again to be the Leap Year breakfast sponsor here. And as a business management consulting firm, we partner with organizations in all industries here and in the country to ensure health, strength, and growth. After 25 years since our founding, we're here to help you leap to the next level.
The life cycle of a business really isn't that all different than the life cycle of humans. It's a series of stages, each filled with unique challenges, demands, and opportunities. Leap Solutions is here to maximize the potential and success of your company at each and every stage.
So in life, we know we start with babyhood. Launching a concept or idea into a full-fledged business is like having a baby. The start of life requires things like risk assessment, baby-proofing, planning, organizing, and nesting. There may even be some stretch marks and crying, right, Ty? It's a time, well, not you crying.
We're human resources.
It's time filled with promise, potential, and excitement. It can also be exhausting, overwhelming, and stressful with constant attention, nurturing guidance. This is where organizational development comes in. OD. Leap works with organizations from small family-owned corporations to large corporations to clarify their path and then develop a custom action plan. And here are some of the items that we provide: assessment and evaluation, strategic planning, creation of organizational structure, change management, development of systems for growth and vitality.
All right, well, next comes the childhood, and childhood marks a period of tremendous growth that often comes in spurts and can be hard to keep up with. Our recruiting experts can help you attract, acquire, and retain top talent. Sourcing strong candidates is one of our specialties, but we also really focus on the organizational fit for the candidate and the organization to make sure that it's a match. Placing impactful, inspiring leaders, building productive teams, and driving growth and success.
Next is tweens and teens. Any parent knows this is particularly a tough stage to navigate. Teens and tweens need independence and room to grow, but they have big demands needing support and protection. Leap Solutions knows how to keep your employees healthy, informed, and well compensated, and has the expertise to address all those tricky people issues that arise as your company grows. We have your HR needs covered with compensation and benefits, employee handbooks, legal compliance, outsourced HR, and then of course HR to Leap, our customized outsourced HR program.
All right, next is young adulthood. So as your business grows and becomes established, it's rewarding to see it thrive and become self-sustaining. You want to strengthen your team as appropriate. So oftentimes it's time for training. Whatever your needs are, we've got you covered with seasoned Leap facilitators and custom high-impact programs, such as communication, conflict resolution, harassment prevention, performance systems, team building, and strengthening.
And then any business moves into its mature adulthood. Like offspring starting families of their own, mature businesses expand into new opportunities, new markets, and new generations. Our executive coaching takes your leadership to the next level. Our personalized and custom executive coaching includes core traits and personality types, 360 leadership evaluations, identification of priorities, strengths, and opportunities for growth, goal setting, and with proven results and lasting change for those being coached.
All the way into retirement. So they say all things must come to an end, but a well cared for business can successfully adapt to changing markets and circumstances, outlast its initial leaders, and thrive well into the future. So look no further, because we do change management, exit strategy, reorganization, succession planning, and preserving your legacy.
So these are just a few of the ways that we can help you grow and take the leap to your next level of success. Where do you want to go in 24? And how can we help you get there? And as a special giveaway, we have eyeglasses, cloths for you, and a little way to go onto our website to learn more about us. Thank you so much, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
All right, Paul, thank you.
All right, thank you, Leap Solutions. Technology is a beautiful thing, and Ty, I can't wait till you get back. All right, so celebrating diversity makes our county aspirational. February is Black History Month. In honor of and to celebrate Black History Month, here at Sonoma County Alliance, we have created a video based on interviews with some Sonoma County small business and nonprofit leaders to focus on collaboration. Collaboration is one of the 5 Sonoma County Alliance core values: leadership, collaboration, engagement, inclusion, and influence. Sonoma County is rich with the work of many African Americans that have called Sonoma County home. For example, from the PD, Gloria Robinson, co-founder of Petaluma Blacks for Community Development in 1979, Alice and Gilbert Gray, founders of the Community Baptist Church in Santa Rosa in 1956, and Chris Perez, a Sonoma County Alliance member and owner of Core Electrical Services, to name a few. We have a video, and we actually have 2 wonderful people that volunteered to be on that video, and I'd like to make an introduction for both. Abria Tillman, owner of LA Beauty and Hair in Santa Rosa, graduate of Olympic College, has a business administration and wine production degree from Sonoma State University and the Santa Rosa Junior College, who is here in person. Abria, I think that you're joining. Nancy Rogers, who is not here unfortunately, is the CEO and president of the North Bay Black Chamber of Commerce. She also is the chef and owner of the Red Rose, a local catering company, graduate from the University of Pine Bluff, and of the Santa Rosa Junior College with the AA in culinary degree. So with that, I'd like to play the video.
First, addressing what the needs are. What are the needs, what are the problems that need a solution? And then identifying and aligning the goals to meet those solutions. And one really key component is to make sure that we're including the folks who's going to be affected by these goals and by these solutions. Make sure they're included in the conversation because they allow a perspective that maybe we didn't, as a committee, we didn't see.
It takes a village in business. I always believe that you just can't, every now and then you find one person who can do that, but majority of the time, you need a lot of people to help make you successful.
Communication is key because we all have been put into specific places and positions to be able to work together to get to an outcome.
If you want people to know about your business, you gotta put yourself out there. And that's what, when we have our mixers and stuff like that, that's what we want people to go and see what the businesses have to offer.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you, Nancy, for your support on that. We really appreciate it. I'm not sure if I should click or not, so I'm going to stay where I'm at. All right. Announcements and updates. I want to thank Don and Alejandro from Sound Ideas for their video and their support, and for Don's Cuvée beer that he brings every month as a donation out. So thank you for that. I want to thank our sustaining members for all your support. And then I'd like to thank all the committee chairs and members. And as I name the committees, if you could stand, if you're the chair or a member, I would appreciate it. We have the communication, the membership committee. We have an education committee, the community engagement and safety reward committee, an environmental committee, a water supply committee, transportation, marketing, communications, programs, finance, and DEI. We have a lot of committees to bring relevant and important information to the club, and a lot of these folks commit a lot of time and energy to make sure they're doing that. So if we can give them a round of applause. Now I would say it's time for the executive director's report, but she's just a guest today for a very important reason. So I just want to say, Ty, it's great to see you. The pictures of your baby are beautiful, and if we could just give her a round of applause. And she'll be back in just a little while, which makes me really happy. So introductions of members and guests. Janet, if you could help me with this. We will assist in getting the self-introductions. Guests, if you have a guest that you have brought, can you please provide a business card? And then we have wine and beer, depending on who we select. And please.
Another microphone. Oh, thank you. So if we could ask you to stand table by table, and if you have a guest, to put your guest business card in the bowl.
Yeah, and my name is Paul Yeomans. I work for Exchange Bank, and I'm your 2024 president.
Jen Collini, Leap Solutions.
Sandra Ormerod, Sotheby's International Realty.
Scott Ormerod, Leap Solutions Group.
Heidi Ower, Leap Solutions Group. Rosa Reynosa, Leap Solutions Group, and Mayor of the Town of Windsor.
Tracy Emmerich, Leap Solutions Group. Good morning, Judy Coffey, Leap Solutions Group.
Chuck McPherson, Leap Solutions Group.
Donna Dye, Leap Solutions Group.
Thank you.
Gary Lentz, Loan Depot Home Mortgage.
Madeline Keegan O'Connell, the YWCA.
Good morning, Mick Menendez, Pacific Advisors.
Richard Lazovic, iTech Tutor. Pete Leskier Engineers.
Ty Mooney, Sonoma County Alliance.
Good morning, everyone. Andrea May Udon, WSI Smart Marketing. Denise Perez, WSI Smart Marketing.
Good morning, Dave Kraft, W Real Estate.
Melissa Galliani, Wine Country Radio.
Kelly Ray, Wine Country Radio.
Judy Groveman Walker, JGW Events. And my guest is Lauren Walker, JGW Events.
Chris Wilson with the Historic Railroad Square Association. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Good morning, Greg Kerr with BKF Engineers. Artie Dexter, Leduc and Dexter, and Super Service Plumbing.
Good morning, Howard Dalton with lots of things.
Brian Lane, Commercial Residential Real Estate.
Dan Condren, member of SCA I'm afraid. Good morning, Mike Martini, Taft Street Wiring. Everybody notice the groan when this table stood up?
Good morning, Dick Dowd, retired past president and also the chairman now of the Water Supply Committee.
Good morning, Olivia Ravelino with Community First Credit Union. Serena Uppel, Community First Credit Union.
Tony Alvarez, retired.
Someone help Mike.
I would like to introduce my guest today, Abria Tillman, small business owner, student, board member of the North Bay Black Chamber, and mom.
Terry Gray with Core Electric.
Chris Perez with Core Electric.
Steve Bertelbaugh with Friends of Smart.
Arthur Cheney, President 100 Blackmen of Sonoma County Incorporated.
Chuck Root, Double Eagle Financial, where cash is still king.
We're gonna start fining you for that. Danny Sheehan with the Friends of Smart.
Ken Kelly with WSI Smart Marketing.
Cynthia Mordecai with WSI Smart Marketing.
Joe Gaffney, St. Vincent de Paul, and I have a guest this morning, Mike Robertson of Robertson's Engineering.
Gary Arabian, CDRE.
Frank Pepgrass, Commercial Real Estate.
Rob Sandville, KLH Consulting.
Don Mills, Cougar Brewery, thank you.
Joshua Banks with WSI Smart Marketing.
Ryan Kelly, WSI Smart Marketing.
Justin Hunter, Holly Construction.
Kevin Zico, ZFA Structural Engineers.
Rick Carlisle, BKF Engineers.
Jason Lee, Sonoma County Office of Education.
William Miller, BC Engineering Group.
Marcel Delagas, BC Engineering Group. Ryan Hughes, accountant with BPM.
Andrew Willis with BC Engineering Group.
Carly Rodriguez, Mid-State Construction.
Jeff Riley, WRA Environmental Consultants.
Natalie Lavana, Pruitt Industrial Park.
Good morning, Kristen Byrne, Pruitt Industrial Park.
Scott Kincaid, Facility Development Company, and I have as my guest Duncan Kelm, Arrow Point Tax Services and Arrow Point Wealth Management.
Carrie Chambers recently laid off from Community First Credit Union and seeking new opportunities.
Roy Martinez, Exit Strategies Group, and member of the Board of Directors of PEP Housing.
Tony Spisman, 707 Promotions.
Brian Barrett, New York Life and Eagle Strategies, and I have a guest with me this morning. This is Edgar Vecinos, North Bay Comfort Heating and Air, who helped to keep my heat on during the last couple of weeks.
David Hagley, Summit State Bank and Mayor of Healdsburg.
Ron Edwards, City Council Member, City of Healdsburg. Bill Bolster, Electro-Optical Components.
Mattia Peterson, ZFA Structural Engineers.
Good morning, Laurie Rooney, North Bay Biz Magazine.
Good morning, David Brown, Adobe Associates, Civil Engineers and Land Surveyors.
Good morning, Gloria McKinnon with Professional Computer Concepts.
Leo McCarrion, Professional Computer Concepts. Tom Clemmer, Clemmer Construction Company, recently incorporated. Steve Click, Bauer Associates. Doug Marshall, GMH Builders.
I'm Preston Reyes with WSI Smart Marketing.
Mandy Foster with WSI Smart Marketing.
Terry Updegraff with Sonoma Wealth Advisors and Fermata 401k.
Ernest Burkhoff, Broker and CEO at Burkhoff Realty.
Jeff Woods with Santa Rosa Police Officers Association.
Nick Caston with Vistage Worldwide Inc.
Mark Hale with Carlisle Macy.
Tiffany Godby here with GMH Builders, and I'd like to introduce my guest, Ashley Diaz with Better Homes and Gardens Realty.
Good morning, Emma Wanger from WSI Smart Marketing.
L'Oreella Andre with WSI Smart Marketing.
Andre Moran with Bralgy and Rees Consulting Engineers.
Kelly McGuire with Pro New Insurance.
Aaron Smith with Adobe Associates.
Dennis Harder, retired.
Kurt Nichols, retired.
Tony Giscona, who wishes she was retired, Giscona Event Management Solutions and the interim CEO at the Napa County Farm Bureau.
Brandon Jewell, the CT Foundation. Vinny Fly with the Smith Dollar Firm.
Eric Schmedes, Golden State Lumber. Miguel Andrade Marin, Golden State Lumber.
Mike Pickens, Operating Engineers, Local 3.
Trish Griffiths with a Personnel Perspective. Haley Bly with Boys and Girls Clubs of Sonoma Marin.
Ryan Bucksbaum, Next One Staffing.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Janet Connors, and I'm with Summit State Bank. And now we're going to have a drawing for a bottle of wine and a 6-pack of beer. Mr. Omarad, will you pick the lucky winners?
Edgar received.
Edgar Vecinos and Duncan Kelm.
See how friendly they are, and there's only one 6-pack.
All right, it's always good to talk into a microphone, right? So with that, thank you very much for all coming. I'd like to welcome Ryan Kelly and WSI Smart Marketing, Sonoma County Alliance member, and talk about AI, where we're at, where we're going, and hopefully the safety we're going to enter into with it. So with that, Ryan, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. Let me get to the slides that matter. Okay, I'll introduce myself real quickly. I have 20 years of marketing experience. I'm a published author. I speak a lot, which, if you don't like how I speak, I'm so sorry. And I have a lot of international awards for marketing. It's always weird introducing yourself. And I'm just going to move on to the next one because I would love to introduce Josh. So Joshua is our sales division director. He's been with us just about 5 years. He's an Eagle Scout. He's a Sonoma County native. And he spearheads currently our expansion into Southern California in the Culver City, Santa Monica area. So Josh flew in on Monday. Thank you for being here for this. I also want to do a little recognition. If you work with WSI, just wave your hand. I just want to say if anybody has questions about all the nerdy stuff we're going to talk about, ask them. If they don't know, they'll connect you to us. Lastly, I want to just recognize my father, Ken, founding partner. He introduced me to the Sonoma County Alliance a decade ago, suggested that I invest time, and I wanted to say, Dad, thanks for being here today. Okay, so who is WSI and why should you care what we have to say when it comes to artificial intelligence? WSI is the world's largest digital marketing network of companies. We have over $150 million of ad budget that we manage globally. We have 100,000 clients throughout 80 countries, and we have built over 500,000 websites. So what do? We help people manage and their organizations manage their websites. We produce websites, we work with their search engine optimization, we understand how AI is affecting SEO. We understand lead generation online. We understand how to manage social media for organizations that need it. If it's online collateral, if it's exposure through the internet, that's what we at WSI Smart Marketing do. But why should you care about what we have to say? Well, here's 4 reasons why. AI is not going to go anywhere. It's already here. It's kind of like all of our kids have already been given the keys to the car and there's no way to take it back. The cat is out of the bag. It's already augmenting life as we know it. It's totally the Wild West, you guys. AI is totally the Wild West. It's like, who's the sheriff, where's the sheriff, and who's going to enforce this stuff? And it's only going to get bigger. We know that it's not going to go away. So our agenda today is as follows. We're going to talk about understanding AI, California and the role in AI in the public sector and the private sector, and we're going to talk a little bit about economic impact, and then we're going to talk a lot about the job market, workforce displacement, what's happening. We're going to cover a little bit of ethical concerns, and then we're going to cap it at the end with future projections. It's going to be just like a fire hose. It's exactly what it sounds like. When I polled the audience and said, what do you guys want to hear about? It wasn't go deep in this one area, it was go shallow in all of these areas. So that's what you guys are going to get today. First one is, of course, the definition of what is AI. You guys are going to get definitions all over the place that are crazy complicated and super obnoxious and hard to remember. This is the easiest one I've ever read. Artificial intelligence is just the science of making machines smart. It's the science of making machines smart. And the journey of how smart machines have gotten didn't just start. It started way back when. Josh, why don't you hit us with some of that?
Sure, and I'm glad the mic's actually working this morning. So we did have, and there's a lot to go when it comes to artificial intelligence, and so what we wanted to do was kind of kick the presentation off by sharing some tangible milestones that hopefully everybody in the room, save like me and a couple people my age, probably would remember and recognize. So we actually want to start with back in 1997, which was the Deep Blue victory. This was the first really big foray of artificial intelligence when the Deep Blue machine beat World Chess Grandmaster Garry Kasparov, and it really indicated the level of complexity of thinking that artificial intelligence was capable of. We started with acknowledging that artificial intelligence is capable of beating human in something, and that's a really big first step. Fast forwarding a couple of years to 2004, as I almost fall off the stage, let's move a little more forward here. We had DARPA's Grand Challenge, right? The defense projects looking at autonomous vehicles trying to drive through the desert. I think it was like a 6 or 8 hour drive, and the vehicles needed to drive themselves. This was a huge step in a couple of ways. One, self-driving cars are kind of starting to come around now, but more so it reinforced the decision-making, the real-time split decision-making of artificial intelligence. Moving forward a little bit more, we had IBM Watson beat Ken Jennings in Jeopardy. That was a big deal, even I remember that. It was the ability of AI to make very informed, rapid-paced decisions faster than a human was capable of. It was basically the next evolution of the Deep Blue victory. And then finally, the one that everyone kind of has brought AI to the forefront, the date and time is known as the democratization of artificial intelligence, the release of ChatGPT 3 to the general public in November of 2022. This was the most recent huge step forward in the history of artificial intelligence.
And the idea here is to show you that this didn't just happen. It's actually been a slow cooker for a couple of decades.
Yes, of course. Okay, I promise this is the most technical slide you're going to see today, but I'm responsible for explaining it and hopefully making sure that everybody knows what's going on here. So this is all about how AI works. And if it looks a little bit confusing, it kind of is. There's three subsets within the development and study of artificial intelligence. There's artificial intelligence, a little bit deeper we get into machine learning, and then a little bit deeper than that we get into deep learning. Ways to think about that is that AI lets machines do, machine learning lets machines think, and deep learning lets machines understand. That's the hierarchy of how artificial intelligence study works. Understand that machine learning is this basis that all of this technology is founded on, and it functions by AI's ability to consume massive amounts of data that require massive amounts of computing power and overall power as well to make it function. These large data sets, these computer powers, there's a reason AI models are supported by billion-dollar startups. Google, Meta, Intel. There's a reason you have to have a certain amount of data and a certain amount of energy to really make a machine algorithm work that's going to power these artificial intelligences. Lastly, the way it really grows and develops is through the understanding of pattern recognition and the understanding of how to make predictions based on the data we're seeing historically. Kind of like what humans do, but thousands and thousands of times faster. A really great tangible example is when we look at one of the impacts of artificial intelligence, specifically within the healthcare space. We're looking at tumor diagnosis from x-rays, where an artificial intelligence can do it in about 18 minutes at about 85% accuracy, where currently an experienced surgeon takes about 50 minutes to have about a 64% accuracy rate, and we're only in the infancy still of artificial intelligence.
Think about that. And interestingly enough, AI has not been around for very long in the way that you're thinking of it now with ChatGPT. But it's been around for a very long time. Think about things like this. YouTube suggesting videos you might want to watch. That's been around a while. What about talking to our phones? Talking to our devices? Guys, that's AI. That's been around a while. What about Amazon predicting purchases that you might like? Artificial intelligence. What about Gmail finishing our sentences? Artificial intelligence. So it's interesting that we kind of think of AI as ChatGPT, but it's our job today to kind of pull you out of AI as ChatGPT. You could not build a house with a drill. You can't build a whole house with a drill. ChatGPT is a tool. ChatGPT is a drill. So what does that mean? That means that there's all sorts of other tools that are AI. So I want to pull you out of ChatGPT as AI. Oh, AI is ChatGPT. It's not. ChatGPT is a tool, just like Google Bard and all these other major tools. And AI, just like ChatGPT is a tool, can translate text into different languages. You can now talk to your device semantically and ask it to do things. It can create images that have never existed, which has all sorts of copyright infringement problems we'll talk about later. It can do video and create video. It can synthesize speech now. It can even write music. Gosh, I want to tell Google to write me a song that I might listen to next to a lake that's 3.5 minutes long, that's soothing, has a little reggae, and ... and it will literally write me that music. Think about that. So it's interesting because when we think about how AI is changing the world, as Charles Darwin that once said, it is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, thank God, but the one most responsive to change. And that's kind of going to be the underlying theme of our talk today, is it's time to change. The time is now. All right, Josh, talk to us about California.
Excellent. Yeah, so we have, like Ryan mentioned, a lot of things to cover today, and it's going to be like a firehouse. Let's jump right into it. We're actually going to begin with looking a little bit at California, and California has been, I think for the longest time, one of the cruxes of technological development for the world, bar none. I don't think anybody can dispute that point, that California is where ideas are born. So currently for artificial intelligence, California, 35 of the top 50 AI development companies in the world are in the state of California. and that accounts for 25% of all patents, conference papers, and companies globally. So California is not just a hotbed for technological development, but specifically within the AI space, California understands its roles as one of the leaders within this area because of the powers, the resources, and the companies that we possess as an entity. Moving forward, let's talk a little bit about, I have 3 different sections here. I talk a little about AI research centers. You're going to hear a lot about collaboration between academia and industry today because everyone kind of acknowledges that those are the 2 engines that push artificial intelligence development forward, and they kind of want to work hand in hand to not get too out of control one way or the other. So starting with some research centers, a couple near to us, the Berkeley AI Research Lab, right, straight down out of Berkeley, focusing on really 3 key areas, which is interdisciplinary and cutting edge research, so looking at things like the ability for AI to read, expanding on neural language processing, expanding more large language models, those types of research points. We also look at, again, this collaborative environment between industry and academia. That's going to come up a couple of times today. And then lastly, education and community engagement. And when I say these are recurring themes, pretty much every research lab says they have this same point. They understand already that looking at informing the general population is going to basically be the make or break point for how artificial intelligence functions. Because if the average person doesn't have trust, faith, and understanding in how it works, it's going to flop. Moving on, we also have the Stanford Artificial Intelligence Lab, also known as SAIL. Again, some similarities here, but this is actually one of the oldest AI research centers in the world. It was founded in the 1960s, which means it's been around almost since the study of the area of artificial intelligence. It's not the same age as like the Turing test. So understand, this is Stanford, again, California-based. These huge research organizations are massive, and again, focusing on diverse areas and that collaboration between industry and academia. And I'm not just repeating that for the sake of repeating it, but understand that's one of the core tenets of trying to make sure that AI is developed in a way that's responsible for humanity. Lastly, really close to home, Sacramento State, December 14th, officially launched the National Institute on the Artificial Intelligence in Education. So it looks at specifically the ethical use of artificial intelligence in the education space. I think it's safe to say that AI is already there, right? Kids are already using ChatGPT to write papers and do homework. So let's look at how to do it in an ethical way where we can actually implement AI in our curriculum. So all of a sudden we're using it to augment and enhance their learning rather than trying to slap them on the wrist saying, hey, this new tool that you have, yeah, it's not going to work, right? Kind of same thing when calculators first came out. You're not going to have a calculator in your pocket all the time. Now you have a calculator in your pocket all the time. A couple of, I call them AI human advocate groups. They all share a very common theme. We've got the Stanford University Human-Centered Artificial Intelligence Group, the Center for Human-Compatible Artificial Intelligence, and lastly, the Partnership on AI. Very common themes here. If I was going to describe them all with one phrase, they focused on the advancement and the development of artificial intelligence in a way that is compatible with humanity. We're looking at a way to make it compatible, have it function as an accessory to, not replace of, not detract from. They're all focused on making sure that AI is developed right. Next, we're going to kind of move more towards the public sector. So we talked a little bit more about private, right, with academia, a little bit about industry. Public sector, we've got 4 main areas that I want to cover today. First off, I'm starting with an independent oversight state agency called the Little Hoover Commission. It is not specific to artificial intelligence, but its role is as an oversight agency that's focused on improving state government operations, policy to promote efficiency, economy, and improved service. And their big call to action recently for the state was looking at calling on public engagement, human infrastructure, and again, we talk about recurring themes, human infrastructure, or let's talk about investing in our people is going to be a huge part of the presentation today. And lastly, looking at addressing pressing social needs related to artificial intelligence, and everyone should agree with every single one of these points here. Autonomy, responsibility, privacy, transparency, and accountability. If you ask me, these are all very important in the development of any technology, but especially so with something that's such a monumental opportunity as artificial intelligence. Next, we're going to move to the California Department of Technology, which I do have to admit, this is probably one of my favorite logos I've ever seen. It's just a bunch of squares that makes the state of California. It's pretty cool. They host the Artificial Intelligence Community, the AIC. Make sure I don't mince their words here. They focus on bringing California experts together to shape the future of ethical, transparent, and trustworthy artificial intelligence. I spoke earlier about how much of a powerhouse California is because of the resources, the entities, the organizations inside of our state. I really enjoy knowing that my state is working to bring these people together to help bring learnings, teachings to the average person, to me, to everybody who wants to learn about artificial intelligence. They routinely provide resources, host courses, and talks on artificial intelligence featuring industry and academia leaders to help inform the general population. Next, we're going to use probably the most mouthful here, which is the California Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. Turns out it's also abbreviated to GoBiz, which I'm going to say is a lot easier and a lot faster. Regardless of how you feel about the government and his stance from the governor, know that with the Cal Competes program, they recently invested $150 million into cutting-edge companies. And cutting-edge meaning things like artificial intelligence, which is the focus of our talk today, but also augmented reality. That's coming a lot faster than you think, and it's going to be very impactful. Looking at EVs and planes, electric vehicles, electric planes, and lastly, also investing in California companies that are focused on the production of semiconductors, which if you understand the crux of modern technology, semiconductors are pretty darn near the top of that list. And I know that most of them in the world right now are manufactured out of Taiwan, and I would love to have more of that stateside and have more of our local domestic manufacturing specific to semiconductors. So it's really reassuring to hear that this type of thing is being invested in. Next, we're going to address one more point, which is he had an executive order in September 6th, and it was focused on, in its bare essence, to bring California to the forefront of AI planning, which I'm right that I'll champion for that all day, every day. This is not one of those governmental policies where it says, hey, we're going to review this over the next 12 to 18 months and then make a plan to make a plan. The deadline for this was the end of January. This came out on September 6th. It said, you guys have 90 days to give me general guidelines on how you're going to use public sectors for procurement, usage, and trainings on general AI, and this continues. January of 2025, we've got goals of how they're going to have to implement it. And so the government is being very proactive and very forward-thinking in how they're going to adopt this technology, which is a lovely change of pace from technologies of past, let's say like cryptocurrency and Web3, much more proactive approach here because the government understands the existential opportunities and risks inherent in artificial intelligence. We're moving fast on this. Lastly, let's bring it back close to home. So the White House did release back in October of 22, kind of the blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights. Know that on January 3rd, my apologies, 2024, Senator Bill Dodd from Napa actually brought that to the California State Senate with the California AI Accountability Act. If you'd like to follow it, it's Senate Bill 896. The focus was on creating the roadmap and regulations for the use of emerging technology, again, in an ethical, transparent, and trustworthy manner. So understand this isn't just this huge thing that's being talked about on a national scale, not even on a state scale, but it actually comes all the way down to our neighboring counties, and even within Sonoma County itself. Artificial intelligence is already making its footprint, and we're already taking action on it from a standpoint. Let's talk a little bit about the economic impact of AI, but that's back to Ryan. I'm kind of feeling a little parched.
You guys like that? We're doing like a little tag team today. Yeah, so it's actually very interesting when we talk about the economic and the impact of AI on small, medium, and large business. The question becomes, well, what are we feeling right now and how is it really working and where are we at in today's kind of moment in history and time? Right now, small businesses are being most impacted by things with AI regarding rinse and repeat type action. Yes and no type action. So when it comes to managing routine tasks, AI can take care of that for small business. Improving efficiency. I know Cynthia works so hard in our agency on efficiency and making sure that we're being an efficient company and that we're providing the world-class service we can, but doing it in the most efficient and net profitable way possible. So understanding how we can use AI tools to understand efficiency within our businesses. And then knowledge scaling. It has never been easier. It's so cool. My guy Preston back there, he's an amazing web designer. He kills it in our division. And I'll tell you what, the other day he was like, Ryan, I say the other day, like a few months back, he's like, Ryan, there's this thing I've never done and I wasn't really sure how to do it and I wanted to like see if AI could do it. It was so cool. I went in and I asked it and it like gave me the code and then I had to tweak it a little. But think about that for just a second. The knowledge scaling that is suddenly available to all of us at our fingertips. That's how small businesses are directly being affected, and we'll talk about positive and negative in a little bit. How is it impacting medium-sized businesses? Market research and analysis has never been easier and faster and required less human thought. Sales and revenue budgeting. Talk about unpacking data in a way where you can start to predict better sales, understand your budgeting, look at your forecasting, and instead of, when you look at who we are as humans, our brains can take so much information in. If I were to want to take in 5 years of a budget and understand pattern and process and policy and decision making, that's a lot of years for me to take in, but what if I could do 15? How much better would that decision making be? That's what AI can do. Supply chain management. You guys remember not long ago all those supply chain issues we had? We were wondering if everything would arrive by Christmas. AI can really help fix those things for medium-sized businesses. And large businesses are benefiting the most with market simulation, with data enrichment and augmentation, and inventory management. So think of it like this. Small, medium, and large businesses benefit from AI, small, medium, and in large ways. The more data you have, the bigger of an organization, the more financial data, the more sales data, the bigger the data, the more the AI tools will help, right? So thinking of the value to AI in terms of the size of your business and the capabilities or opportunities that it has within. So let's actually break down, I'm going to bookend this section, I'm going to start and end it, and you'll be in the middle. But we're going to talk about 5 key sectors of our area. We're going to talk about technology, healthcare, agriculture, banking and finance, and nonprofits. Okay, so when we talk about technology, which is actually the industry that we're in a business that is, we are what I would consider an AI-infused, AI-adopted digital marketing agency. We use AI tools to do a lot of things that make what we do better than our competition. So how does our industry feel about AI? Well, 62% of companies like ours that have adopted AI are saying that they've already found value in the tools. 87% report that our organizations are prepared for adoption, with skill sets already in the business. So 82 out of 100 companies are saying in technology, we already have people that we think can take on AI and make their jobs better, they're ready. And 96% state that AI makes their company run more efficiently. And I don't know about you guys, but I like having an efficiently run company. It makes a big difference in all of our investments in time, our investments in our people, our capabilities and what we have to offer and all those other things. So what are 4 kind of major ways that AI is affecting the technology industry? Automation of routine tasks. I know that sounds like we keep saying that, but really think about your organization. What are routine tasks in your business? What are things that you wish you didn't have to do that have to be done every day or every week or once a month or once a year? Those are routine tasks. Enhanced user experiences. What if you had a chatbot on your website that really understood the journey of somebody and what they're doing in your website, and then when they started asking questions, they had all the same resources that a human would have had to answer those questions? What about data analytics and decision making? I talked about having bigger data pools to make decisions from that we as humans would struggle to try to understand or comprehend, but suddenly you can 10x that in AI and you have better decision making from way more data points. And then product and service innovation. I think this is always interesting. Ideation, in the way that you can use AI for ideation and to come up with ideas. In fact, one of the things that we do in our social media division is we use artificial intelligence to manage burnout, to think about how to say a message differently or in a different way, because sometimes you're trying to say the same message 10 different times over the course of 2 months, and you're like, how do we say this? So AI can also manage burnout. Josh, why don't you talk to us about healthcare?
Sure. First of all, I want to get the audience involved, right? It's an early morning, it's early Thursday. Do I have any people who are in the healthcare space in the audience for me today? Thank you very much, sir. I'm one man here. This one's for you. Let's talk about some statistics here. So healthcare, personal standpoint, I actually feel like AI, regardless of how you feel about it, has a lot of opportunity to do a lot of good and a lot of opportunity to do a lot of bad. And we're going to talk about that when we get to the ethics section. But for the healthcare space specifically, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to make a lot of really big, good changes. So let's talk about some important statistics for the healthcare space. Number one, 67% of business leaders within the healthcare space have said that they either have or are adopting an AI ethics governing policy. My personal standpoint, I think every business within the next 12 months should have one of these. How are we going to tell our customers, tell our clients, tell the people we serve that we're using AI in an ethical way that's not going to take advantage of them? It's not going to compromise on our morals as a company, our morals as an organization, our morals as an institution. 94% are actually confident that AI is going to help assist in the development and deployment of vaccines. And I want to extrapolate this beyond just the development of vaccines, but think about all the different ways that AI can crunch massive amounts of data that would take a person, even if it took a person a week, a day, an hour, AI could do the same in much less. We're seeing a lot of scalability in our ability to move up and come up with ideas faster. So this is going to be happening. We're going to be looking at ways AI are impacting vaccine development and much more things beyond that. Lastly, 40% have expressed a confidence, and I expect that percentage to grow, in AI-assisted patient-centered offerings. So like Ryan addressed earlier, things like a virtual assistant that knows all of your chart data. So if you have questions in the middle of the night and you don't want to wait and ring for a doctor, you have a little AI assistant that's going to know everything for you and give you the answers you need. Or, hey, I just took this medication a little while ago. What medication can I take that complement it? What medications can I take that don't complement it? And when can I take my next dose? There's going to be a lot of assistances in that space.
And I'm going to jump in and just say, if that scares you or if you're resistant to that, it's already here, it's already coming, and everybody else wants it.
Let's move on to 4 impact points. Primarily, we're going to start with diagnosis, right? I talked earlier in the example, being able to identify tumors from x-rays, 85% in 18 minutes versus 64% in 50 minutes. That's going to get more and more accurate. I'm going to quickly hop to the bottom right there as well, the disease detection. It's going to be able to look at not only signals of what you're coming up for, what do you have running in your family, but looking at all these different areas to help diagnosis happen earlier, which is better for everybody involved in the process. Precision medicine, so we're going to be able to know exactly how much medicine you need to take and what type to help mitigate, manage your symptoms. There's a lot of impact going on here. And then lastly, I already talked about virtual assistants. I'm not going to reiterate that point, but there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of good based on the healthcare space, which is healthcare opportunities and healthcare offerings there. Next, we're going to move into the agricultural sector, which I know I have ag people in the room. I know the Farm Bureau's out there, right? Where are my ag people at today? Thank you very much.
And just so you know, I got an email from Tani, and she was very clear. She said AI does not mean artificial intelligence in the agricultural community.
So let's talk about this a little bit. You're going to see some varying amounts of percentages because AI, like I mentioned earlier, is still in its infancy, so the impact is still coming. What we can talk about is what's already happening and what's coming, and that's the purpose of these slides. So imagine a world already where we're able to get the same amount of output, but with 30% less water usage. AI assisted in the watering of knowing the optimal amounts of water in the soil can help reduce water waste by 30%. Now, I know we've gotten a lot of water recently, but let's not forget, we just came out of a drought for the last decade or so. Imagine you use 30% less water to water our crops. Or organic, local is really huge here. Imagine being able to help have AI assistance in your weed control, that you're reducing your herbicide usage by 90%. Imagine being able to use 1/10 of the herbicides you use right now to help manage and grow crops. Now, I talked a lot about healthcare and how much opportunity there is there and benefit. I think the same things for the agricultural space. I don't know about you. I'm 6'3". I love food. So let's talk about how to make food a little bit better. Imagine increased yield, decreased loss. We talked about that briefly, right? We talked about water waste, herbicide reduction. Imagine being able to have better care of the soil that you take care of, so you're able to rotate crops faster. Or imagine being able to use certain things to enhance the soil to grow a little bit more in and out of season. So maybe also you can start pushing through 2 crop cycles in one growing season instead of 1. Imagine the input, the output that comes from that. We talked about sustainable agriculture and being able to revitalize the soil. Right? We know about soil tilling. I actually studied soil before I got into marketing. So I do know that crop cycles you have to sometimes let the soil rest for a couple of years to get its nutrients back. Imagine being able to help mitigate that and get it back faster. Workforce transformation. Now, I know that the Little House on the Prairie depiction of farming, where it's some guy out in the field with a hoe, is not how farming works nowadays. It's a lot more technologically advanced than that, and in fact, it's probably smarter than a lot of what I do. But I know that there is workforce transformation that's going to happen, and I know that there's a technology gap that needs to be filled because artificial intelligence is such a new, recent development that everybody has a technology gap we're going to have to fill. We have to make sure that the softwares, the tools that are out there to be used by people are helping to benefit and enhance that. And there's things like Microsoft has Project Farm Vibes, which besides being a pretty cool name, is focused entirely on helping understand how to bring modern technology more further into agriculture, help improve yield, help reduce waste, help make everything function better. Next, we're moving into banking, and that's finance. Those are my numbers people. Do I have any other fellow numbers people in the audience today? Thank you very much. A little bit more than the other ones. I got some numbers out there. Let's talk numbers then.
Ryan, this one's for you, my fellow Eagle Scout out of Troop 32. 86% of finance industry leaders actually have a desire for increased government regulation within artificial intelligence, increased government involvement with that. And I think that's really wise, because this one, specifically for my bank people, how many people have just as much faith in cryptocurrency as they do with the US dollar?
Not a lot of hands.
Let's get a little bit of regulation to come in there to help average person feel better, right? There's some times for a big brother to have a good impact on there, and I think this is one of those. 93% are actually confident in AI's ability to help detect and mitigate fraud. It's a big impact there. And these last two I think are really, really funny because they kind of run parallel to each other. 53% has said that AI adoption is moving at the right speed. Everything is coming and being built the way we want it to. But at the same time, 37% say it's moving a little bit too fast. But interestingly, about 86% also say they wish their organization would be more aggressive in the adoption of artificial intelligence. More aggressive.
It's a big number.
So let's talk about some more impacts here, because I'm getting ready to pass it back to Ryan in a second here. We're talking about enhanced risk management. We talked about more active fraud detection, AI's ability to chew through more data faster and help analyze risk, analyze fraud as it comes to. We're talking about a more personalized banking experience. Let's say, I talked a little bit about that healthcare, that virtual assistant with the healthcare space, but imagine that same thing when you log into your exchange bank account, or you log into your Morgan Stanley account, and having that level of impact, that level of service there, really quick with a chatbot you're able to talk to right from the get-go. Operational efficiency, of course we talked about efficient numbers earlier. Efficiency is pretty much almost always better in my opinion. And then lastly, regulation, right? Banking specifically, regulation is coming, it's going to happen within that space. I don't think it's going to have the opportunity to thrive in that space, or really in any space, without proper regulation on the usage and ethics behind artificial intelligence. So talking about bookend, I'm going to pass it back to Ryan. We're going to have him chat a little bit about nonprofits.
All right. To follow Josh, do we have anybody in the nonprofit sector? All right, there we go. Check this out, this is for you all. 83% of people related to the nonprofit sector believe that an ethical framework needs to happen. That's a high statistic. That means that if you represent or are participating in a nonprofit, that should become one of the most important things you do in short time. It also means that for nonprofits, 73% believe that AI innovation aligns already with who they are as an organization. Think about that. 75%, just about 3 out of 4 nonprofit organizations say, we believe AI is right for us, we should use it, we can use it, it's right for the world. And 75% believe that AI will make their lives easier. That's interesting, and by the way, it does. So what about these have 4 easy kind of impacts? Thinking about nonprofits and how nonprofits work as organizations, data-driven decision-making, like I said, utilizing bigger data packages and unpacking those to understand and learn from will be something that's been difficult in the past, easy in the current future. Improved donor engagement. If you had tools that understood your donors better, their journeys better, who they were better, and answered their questions more thoroughly, would you get better donor engagement? What about operational efficiency? What if you made, as an organization, more of the money that you raised go towards the cause in which you exist for? And what about enhanced impact analysis? What if you're able to tell your story better to your donors and to your prospects? What if you're able to understand the impact of your organization in a way that maybe you weren't able to understand or didn't know or weren't able to show, but now because of AI tools you have that opportunity? It's going to change all of our sectors, whether it's banking, whether it's technology, healthcare, it doesn't matter. It's from the top down. It's everywhere, and it's not going to go away. So what's it going to do to our jobs? What's it going to do to our job market? Interestingly enough, by 2030, we're going to have about $400 billion as an economic impact. $400 billion. It also means that between 1 and 11 million Californians will have their jobs changed because of it. Think about that. That's a huge number, you guys. And the next slide Josh is going to unpack for us because it's really interesting. In fact, he's going to have several slides to talk about the economic impact. But between 2019 and 2022, think of the pandemic, we had the U.S. labor market had a 50% increase in occupational shift. People changing their occupation, not changing jobs. not getting a different job, changing their occupation. Over that 3-year span had a 50% increase. Josh, talk to us about what those increases look like and how people have moved in occupation.
Sure. So the first thing to understand is, my people in the back, if you can't read this, don't worry, I got you covered. We're going to talk about labor shifts. We're going to talk about 3 categories that we have broken down. There's one that's called resilient and growing. There's one that's called stalled but rising. And the last one is hit and declining. So when I break these down, let's start with the hit and decline. That's that gray square all the way on the right, takes up about half the space. Roughly about 40% of Americans are within this area, these industries that are impacted. And these are things like food services, customer service and sales, office support, and production work. Areas that are also rife to be hit with heavy amounts of automation, artificial intelligence, the impact is coming in there. This is that hit and decline, shifting out of that. We move into the stalled but rising. Had a little bit of dip and a little bit of slowdown during the pandemic time, 19 to 22, but it started to pick back up. These are things like builders. I saw Justin Hunter in the back, Holly and Associates. Builders moving up in the world here. Community services, workforce and education training. Can we talk about that last one? Workforce and education training. That's going to be like the entire last 10 minutes of the presentation is all focused on workforce and education training, and that's hit but rising. Moving up into resilient and growing, we have about 36% of Americans in this space. These are things like professionals and legal and business professionals coming through here. Health aides, technicians, wellness, and STEM. We could always use more scientists. More people use the opportunity of 2019 to 2022 to reskill. So it wasn't just people moving because they were being hit by the pandemic, but they were reskilling and retooling themselves to move into a career they maybe wouldn't have the opportunity to. So all these areas are growing. But what does this really look like? So what this really looks like here, and this x-axis in the far left, that's 2016, and the right axis is 2030. So we're looking within the next 6 years. This resilient and growing, we're expecting 17% growth from 2022 until 2030. That's going to be roughly 9.9 million jobs in that resilient and growing space. That healthcare, that business, legal professional, those sciences. Those areas can be growing by 10 million jobs nationally within the next 6 years. That hit, stalled but rising coming in here. You see again that dip coming through. But this is the workforce training coming through there, the community service, all of that. About 7% growth, roughly 2.8 million jobs between now and 2030. So in the next 6 years, 2.8, almost 3 million jobs coming in. And then lastly, the hit and declining. You can see the decrease here, we're looking at about 6 million jobs between now and the next one. 6 million people moving out of those fields into other fields. That's things that are going to be hit heavily by automation, heavily by artificial intelligence. So understand that this isn't just jobs being taken away. There's also people who are looking at retooling, reskilling, and moving themselves into another career.
Hashtag buzzkill. That was like, oh, shrinkage always sucks. So the question then becomes, well, if we know that there's going to be hit and stalling and there's some that are going to be growing, well, what are some emerging jobs in the job market that we should actually be aware of? Well, let's start with kind of workforce negativity and then workforce positivity, and then we'll talk about some up and coming positions that you may care about. How is AI going to impact negatively jobs? Reskilling costs. Suddenly that person that you've already paid to be trained that's good at what they do, suddenly a lot of what they can do can be automated, but you want that person to stay because they're a human and we care about people. Our tagline is embrace digital, stay human. So the idea is, well, if you can reskill this person and maybe take half of their job that becomes AI and now they can manage that part of their job better through AI, what else can you do for your business with the 4 hours for that person? How else can they help you? Where else have you needed help in your business? You're already used to paying them. You've already got the direct labor as part of your budget. How can you reskill that person? That means it's going to cost money to train. It means we're going to have a cost to reskilling. Workforce reduction goes along with, I think, skill irrelevance. With workforce reduction, AI may end up replacing some of our people. And when it comes to skill irrelevance, what if, I know that one of the biggest areas that's impacted is journalism. Right? That's going to be a very difficult industry to stay within unless you have a unique part of who you are, and a reason why somebody would want to pay you to do that when they could use AI to basically do something very similar. So skill irrelevance is a big issue. And of course, ethical concerns, right? Is the organization and are the people using AI in a way that we as a company organization would be proud of? Could we stand behind it? Could we stand behind the work that we're doing using it? So those are all kind of negative impacts, but what about kind of positive impacts. There is going to be job creation. I'm going to cover, I think, 5 new kinds of positions that are coming. Efficiency, we keep talking about efficiency. If you want to make more money on your bottom line as an organization, then work on your efficiency and understand your AI tools. We're in the middle right now of developing an AI business analysis to help businesses understand how and where they can plug AI into their businesses. Economic growth, we talked about $400 billion of new economic growth because of this new technology. And then, of course, knowledge scaling. And again, now all of a sudden we have somebody like Drea that's a brilliant social media strategist. She also doesn't know what she doesn't know. She knows what she knows, but now she has tools where she can go get answers and the more advanced things that she didn't know. And now suddenly she knows everything our competitors know. Think about knowledge scaling. So what are some of these companies looking for when it comes to new hires, right? Some of these bigger companies would be looking for things like an AI ethics officer. Who is our police person making sure that the AI tools being used in our organization are being used in an ethical and moral way that we're proud of as a company? AI ethics officer. AI data scientist. Maybe you have somebody in your business already that does a lot of numbers and math and runs a lot of your accounting. Maybe they need to learn how to use some AI tools and do what they're doing, but on steroids. What about an AI solution architect? What if you have an organization that, gosh, you really just need somebody that can spend time working in all of your different divisions, understanding where all of the pain points, all of the struggles are, all of the automated or potentially automated processes that could happen? Who do you have in your organization that's really spearheading AI as an integrated tool into your business? AI-enhanced customer service manager. We've talked about healthcare and chatbots and the ability for chatbots to now go reach into files and answer real questions. I don't know that I like that as much as I'm hopeful that that would be awesome someday. Right now, it would scare the hell out of me. And then, there we go, AI healthcare specialist. It's the same, there's the example, literally an actual AI healthcare specialist whose job is to work on the chatbots, make sure everything's connected, and make sure that at every stage that automation can happen, it does, but as soon as it needs human interaction, there they are. You can't abandon AI, guys. The outputs from AI are only as good as the inputs. If you're putting in kind of cheesy, quick, dumbed down, give me 500 words on that, make me this kind of image, crunch all of this survey data, but if you're not really specific in your input, the output will always be what you put in.
Ego.
Yeah.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out, I love it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about reskilling and upskilling.
Yeah, definitely. So I mentioned earlier, and I kind of allured to this, that for me, this is one of the biggest parts of this presentation. Like, if there's anything you're going to take away, obviously, hopefully, besides the fact that Ryan is great on stage, understand that reskilling and upskilling is one of the areas that we're going to be looking at investing in the next couple of years. When it comes to organizationally looking into reskilling and upskilling, when it comes to kind of figuring out how do we infuse this into our organization, I don't have the perfect answer for that, but what I do have is 5 things you need to make sure you keep in mind when you're doing this. With the onslaught of artificial intelligence, with how technology is evolving, understand that reskilling and upskilling is mission critical, right? Your organization needs this in order to keep doing your mission. Because we always like to joke that AI is not going to take your customers, not going to take your job, your clients. Your competitors who use AI to do your job better will. So understand that adopting artificial intelligence, reskilling, upskilling your people is mission critical. And in that same vein, every single leader throughout every single level of your organization is responsible for helping this change happen. If you do not have buy-in from the top down, you're going to fall apart. You cannot have people who have good ideas from the bottom and get shot down because somebody in middle management or upper management says, no, that's stupid, artificial intelligence isn't going to do that. Blockbuster thought the same thing about Netflix, and now there's one Blockbuster left in the entire country, and it's like a novelty in, I think, like Kansas.
And Oregon.
Don't become the next Blockbuster.
Oregon.
Oh, let's be hop back for a second here. We'll get to that one in a second. Next, it requires change managers. I heard change manager earlier in the audience. We were going through and talking about the things that we do. But understand that you cannot just say we are going to become an AI-infused organization that does it ethically. You got to put some chutzpah behind that. You got to have some good energy, some good processes in place that are going to help you affect this change. You cannot just say we're going to do it and say it happens. You need to have responsibility checks, accountability checks. It really is, if it sounds like a gargantuan task, it is. You're basically trying to rewire the entire core DNA of how your business functions to adopt this new technology that's going to launch you to the stratosphere. Next, understand that your employees want to reskill, especially if it makes sense. Like, I'm a digital marketing guy, right? I want to know how to use AI to help me do my job better because otherwise someone else is going to do it for me. People, when it makes sense, when the lines track, when they can see the vision and the path, they want to reskill. Your people do not want to be the obstacle to your success. They want to be the key to it. Last, it's all hands on deck. So I talked about organizational buy-in from the top down, but understand that you need buy-in from the bottom too. Your people are probably very concerned that AI is going to take their jobs. That's a very valid concern. We're going to get into ethics here in a second, but that's a totally valid concern. It's up to us as the organizational leaders, as the drivers of our businesses, to make sure that the way that we look at implementing it is going to alleviate that fear. We want to enhance our people. We want to grow our people. We want to reskill our people. You cannot reskill somebody who's going to be resistant because they're worried that as soon as they learn that tool, you're going to axe them. You need to have buy-in from every level of the organization. Let's move into ethical considerations. And I'd like to start this with a question because I feel the same way. Is anybody else just tired of hearing all the people who have nothing but nice things to say about artificial intelligence and then they blow past all of the potential existential risks and negatives?
It's so frustrating.
So, same thing. I feel the same way. A lot of people, I feel like right now, look at artificial intelligence. They're either in one camp. It's the end of the world, and this is the end of humanity. Please bring on Skynet. I'm ready to see Arnold Schwarzenegger kick in my front door. Or there's this is going to lead us to the utopia of the world of the future, and my rose-tinted glasses are all the way on right now. So let's kind of split the difference for a little bit, because if you ask me, when you're coming to artificial intelligence, going way back to the beginning of the presentation, I talked about how they consume massive amounts of data, and they require massive amounts of data and power to function and work as well as they do. The trust in artificial intelligence is all about who controls that data. The trust is all about who controls the data. Consumer privacy, protection privacy, all of that. If you do not feel good about who controls your data, you're not going to feel good about the tool that they're using it to train on. And I think there's some really concrete examples recently. I'm going to be really, really direct. Unregulated, left unchecked artificial intelligence, especially generative AI, is a direct threat to consumer privacy and intellectual property. And if you don't believe me, there's a myriad of lawsuits right now, and 3 really big ones. Getty Images is currently suing Stability AI because they use their copyright images to train the model to give outputs. New York Times is currently suing OpenAI and Microsoft because they use their articles, their content, their intellectual property to train the models. And really, really recent, you may not have heard about this one, but this podcast came out with a George Carlin special. And George Carlin died the better part of 10 years ago. And they didn't have any permission to do that. So George Carlin's estate is currently suing that because they used artificial intelligence to create a George Carlin who sounded like, talked like, and made jokes like George Carlin in a special called I'm Glad I'm Dead, which totally is a Carlin-esque name for the special. But to quote their lawyer in the lawsuit, this case is not just about artificial intelligence. It's about the humans that use AI to violate the law, infringe on intellectual property rights, and flout common decency. And I think for me, this is a perfect segue into the notion that artificial intelligence is not good, it's not bad. It's just a tool. The threat that comes from artificial intelligence is not the tool, it's the people behind the tool. This is where the impact comes in. This is where the ethics concerns come in. If you're telling me, Josh, are you saying that my ethical considerations should be more about the people who have access to the tool and what the tool can do than the tool itself? My answer would be yes.
In my opinion, I feel like artificial intelligence is a lot like fire, right? Unregulated and unprotected, it can be devastating, uncontrollable, and ruin people's lives. But with the right regulation and control, it can be positive, it can warm our houses, and it can make our lives better.
Most definitely. And don't get me wrong, when we were building this presentation, we spent probably the better part of an hour trying to figure out how to talk about everything we were going to talk about today in the time frame we're allowed. Because I could give you a full day, 8-hour seminar on the ethics of artificial intelligence alone, and probably still have to come back for a day 2 and a day 3. So what we want to do is hit top level stuff here. Let's talk a little about future impacts, and we're getting really close to the end here, so I appreciate all of your attention. I've seen a lot of attentiveness from the audience as we go through this. What the future holds. I've got 3 kind of predictions, and they're pretty fun. Number 1 is that generative AI is going to redefine the work of leaders just as much as it does employees. So it's not just going to hit you from the top down, but from the bottom up as well. So understand that your job's going to change too. Right? That's just a fact of being. The tool is so expansive, it's going to change your job just as much as the people you work for. So things to keep in mind here is be human-led and tech-powered. It actually is a coincidence that our tagline is embrace digital, stay human, and then I'm saying this on the slide because our tagline came out before ChatGPT released, so it works out, it's convenient. Secondary, unleash your talent, right? Lean into your people. And lastly, lean on your AI natives as well. Just like my generation grew up with the internet, using the internet, we have generations now that are growing up with artificial intelligence. They're using artificial intelligence. Don't look down on them because they use it already. Lean into them because they're already natively intuitive to that. Second, moving in, the moment of truth for trust in AI is coming, right? I kind of alluded to that throughout the presentation. The moment of truth for trust in AI is coming, and it's all about who controls the data like we talked about. So don't repeat old mistakes. Don't start from scratch, right? AI tools are out there, software technology is out there, and bring in the big guns. What I mean by this is get everybody, every level of your organization should have some understanding of artificial intelligence, because when we talk about trust in the software, you need to have trust throughout the whole organization. The person using it and the person leading the organization both have to have trust and faith that the software you're using is the right software for your organization. Lastly, this is a fun one. Generative AI will transform transformation. So the way transformation looks right now is going to change, right? Transformation is going to be much more rapid pacing. It's going to extrapolate. It's going to be larger in its scope that it happens. We're not going to see smaller incremental changes. Changes are going to be leaps and bounds now, not just small steps. 3 things to do when thinking about that. Make everybody a transformation lead. Empower your organization. Anybody should be able to share ideas because the technology is so new. There's so much happening that somebody could see something on Facebook, on Instagram, and all of a sudden they bring it up, and that could be the thing that takes your organization to the next level. Outsource and offshore less. It was an attractive offer in the past because there's a big financial difference in that. AI tools help bring that barrier down. Bring more people in-house. Have more human-centeredness. Have everybody there. And then lastly, make sure you're covering all the bases. That's pretty simple. Look at every level of your organization. Look at every tool you use, every service you do. There's going to be AI impacts in there. So I wanted 3 things to start doing now, and this is going to be, you're going to say, wow, Josh, this is a little bit top level. Seek to understand. Begin experimenting now. Technically, the best time was when ChatGPT 3 came out, but the second best time is like right now. And then number 3, invest in your team. So understand that just your journey on AI should start now. Right? Your experimenting is going to be what guides you to the next level and brings you forward. Understand, these are the 3 takeaways. If you need anything to understand, hopefully there's a couple big points, but the main thing is start now. Start looking now, start investing now. I wanted to open the floor up for questions. I really appreciate all your time today for both myself and for Ryan.
Real quick.
We have a couple questions.
Ryan, do you have any feel how the state is going to, and government I should say, the big thing that jumps out at me is their inability to fix the unemployment department issue. Can AI do that? And the bigger picture that's not a joke, will AI someday tell me what mood my wife or kids are when I come home?
So I will say with the democratization of AI, the idea that AI was created and given to everybody for free. Janet, this will answer one of your questions about diversity and equity and how AI can impact that. With the democratization of AI and how it's available for everybody, no matter what kind of house or how much money you make or what you drive, everybody now has tools to create better resumes, to upskill themselves, to learn new opportunities and careers. I do think that AI is going to change a lot of our workforce moving forward. In terms of the state, I do think the state is moving faster on this than I've seen them move on virtually anything in my adult life. The fact that they're spending a lot of money in a quick way, demanding fast results with short timelines, we haven't seen the governor do things like that around other things in the past, at least not very often. So the fact that we see the government, our local state government, as well as federal government, really moving quickly and how they're talking about it all the time. So I hope it continues to move fast, but frankly, the state needs to do a lot of regulation on AI.
And personally, I can't wait for AI to make it into the DMV. Can I get an amen on that?
I have a question for everyone. Raise your hands. If we had a bring your laptop, bring your iPad class on how to actually apply AI, who would come?
For the record, we would help teach it.
Brilliant. Okay. That's all I have.
Good feedback.
Do you know enough about it? That's what
He might.
Can we get a copy of this presentation?
A copy of the presentation will be on our website, so SonomaCountyAlliance.com. You bet. Because you know what? The energy these two put off, Josh, you're a superstar. I'm going to go home and take a nap.
You'll also get a copy of, we have some resource slides at the end that have some of the resources we pulled from, as well as some other data points that didn't really make it into the presentation. So you'll get those attached with a copy of the presentation as well.
Ryan, did you have maybe like a starting point of tools? You've mentioned tools a lot throughout the. Is there like a couple tools all small business owners here and organizational leaders could actually implement, or at least do some research on in between our meetings?
Yeah. Personally, I think the best starting point for everybody is probably ChatGPT. There's a reason we kind of talked about wanting to move out of that idea of ChatGPT being just what AI is, but it is a great launching point because you can, hey ChatGPT, I work in this industry, and by the way, don't give it too much personal data because they do use your data to train the model, so don't give it like specific client information, but you can be general. I use it in this industry, and I'm wondering what type of AI tools you would recommend. And it will actually tell you and spit out a list you can start to look into. So besides ChatGPT being a great administrative tool, you can actually use it as an alternative to Google, which may be sacrilege because I'm a Google marketing guy, but you can use it as an alternative, and that's typically where I would recommend starting and jumping off from.
I was going to say use AI to answer your question. Totally facetiously, but it's really true.
I think my question was right along the same line. So does WSI offer like consulting services for like certain companies on what tools would be good and effective for their company, or is there consulting companies out there where you could have them come in and take a look at your business model and say, this is what of the million tools, which we only saw a few today, which ones are actually going to be effective and that we should invest our time in?
Yeah, great question. Because AI is so new, we are currently as an organization consulting and talking with our clients about how we use it and how they can use it. But we are right now developing a tool internationally and globally for us to be able to help businesses understand what kinds of tools they should be using based on a consultative approach of understanding their business, their pain points, and so forth. So yes, we're doing that now for current clients. We'll be offering that as a public offering probably within 6 months.
Okay, and last question.
So I was struck on your little Hoover slide there about accountability. And I learned as an expert witness in depositions, you attorneys and insurers can appreciate this. There's a thing called reliance, and it has to do with accountability and liability. And it was illustrated to me, when you pull up to a gas pump and stick that nozzle in your tank, you expect gasoline, not apple cider. So how are we going to get accountability? Who's going to, this thing may deliver me 100 solutions to design a system that I have, an infrastructure system, but then I've got 100 things to sort through. How's that going to save me time? Do you have an app that like does a peer review? It says, no, these 99 are crap. This one might work. So that's where my set as an engineer, where the rubber meets the road and the infrastructure supports lives.
Definitely. And I would say that to your point specifically, artificial intelligence is still in its infancy, and to that level degree where it is lives in life, I probably would not use something like ChatGPT to say, hey, ask me for all these ideas on how I'm going to build this building. A really concrete example actually was, I think, 6 months or so ago, those lawyers got caught. You guys remember that? They used ChatGPT to write their thing, and it made up a bunch of statements and testimonies. That's actually called AI hallucination, and it happens when there's not enough data points to go off of. Yeah, it's called AI hallucination. Exactly. So the main point is, what we recommend is always keep the human in the loop. So at this point, I would definitely say that may be a little bit of work because it's at that level, that degree, but always make sure you're keeping the person in the loop and always double check everything because the AI is not infallible.
Thank you.
I just need to take a breath. That was incredible. We will have much more of AI moving forward. I apologize for running a little late, but a lot to get through in a short amount of time. I'd like to thank our elected officials, Ron Edwards from the Healdsburg City Council, Don Hagel from the Healdsburg Mayor, Rosa Reynosa, Windsor's Mayor. Please come back on March 6th. We have ag industry and the sectors within the ag industry and the wins that they're hitting. There's a lot going on within ag, and this county has a long history with agriculture. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for our guests, our sustaining members. If you're encouraged, please join. Obviously, our GMMs bring a lot to the community, bring a lot to the business community. So bring other folks within your business. Bring the up-and-comers, right? Bring the youth that can generate and understand AI better than a bunch of old folks sitting in this room. I'm just talking about myself. Because I'm feeling a little irrelevant with all the AI talk. So with that, again, thank you, Leap Solutions, for